Hello there, how you doing? Hope this finds you well. My name is Barack Little. I'm a strength coach, personal trainer, but most importantly, I'm here to help you pass the CSCS exam. All right, make sure you like and subscribe below. Me and Chris, owner of Show Up Fitness, are here to help you pass the CSCS exam. Today, we're just gonna go over 3 quick tips to help you pass the CSCS exam. I wanna make this as easy as possible for you. First tip, learn how to prioritize your studying. What I mean by that, essentially, look at the breakdown of questions and make sure you understand what the test is going to be covering mainly before you get to it. They have a breakdown for you on it. They tell you exactly how many questions will be of each. It'll be 95 questions of scientific foundation, mainly focused on exercise, science, and nutrition. Then there's a practical and applied session that's 125 questions. They get an exercise technique program, design, organization, administration, testing, and evaluation. And there'll be even further breakdowns from there. So what I mean by that, if you're ultimately super confused on testing and administration and you're just beating yourself up over it, make sure you understand other things, because there's not gonna be more than 5 to 7 questions on that. And on a 200+ question exam, it's not gonna kill you. Same thing with some of the more complex scientific things in earlier chapters, like structural foundation of systems. Maybe you don't understand, the heart valves or how everything works when it comes to heart, or maybe you don't understand the details of things such as the Cori cycle and some of these aerobic things. Ultimately, you do want to make sure you know things at a basic level, but if you're just not truly conceptualizing these things, come back to them later. While yes, they're great to know and have for practical knowledge, they're not going to be make or break when you're talking about passing this exam. All right, so that's tip number 1. Tip 2. I just had one of my students that passed within about a month and a half of taking our CSCS prep class. He said it really helped know Table 5.1, which is going to be in Chapter 5 on page 89 of the most recent book, and it's the primary metabolic demands of various sports. Yeah, if you know the metabolic demands of each sport, it's going to answer a lot for you. First and foremost, it'll let you know what type of sport it is. So again, let's take football. We know that the phosphagen system, the glycolytic system, the phosphagen system is going to be high, glycolytic moderate, and not much aerobic. So therefore, we know if they're asking a question about testing sequence and importance of testing when it comes to a sport like football, the aerobic and endurance tests aren't going to be as important. So knowing each sport and kind of its metabolic demands, it's going to help you answer some of these questions, know the details of it, know which tests are going to be most specific for that, and all of a sudden you'll be able to also understand metabolic systems, bioenergetics better. You'll be able to know if you know that a sport is high in the phosphagen system, then you're going to know it's going to be high power, low aerobic endurance, whereas a sport that's going to be high in the aerobic and maybe even high in the glycolytic is going to be less powerful than the sport that's very high phosphagen, but it's also going to be less fatigable and able to be more aerobic and things of that nature. And ultimately, third tip, another chart, looking at table 13.1, I believe it's on page 295 in chapter 13 of the most recent CSCS textbook. But I just had another student let me know that this chart was very important for him. There's going to be percentile values of 1 rep maxes and certain maxes. It goes for a few pages, has a bunch of different percentile values for collegiate, pro athletes. But again, most importantly, knowing where the 50th percentile lies for most of these sports, because the majority of questions they're going to ask when it comes to what the athletes need to improve on or not is going to be above or below that 50% line. So again, typically if you know that 50 percentile line for each sport or each athlete, you're going to know if something's below that. Typically they're going to ask you to improve that, and if it's above it, typically they're not going to necessarily need you to improve that. It's going to be rare that they're asking you something between the 70th percentile and the 80th and asking you which one is better. Usually that 50% baseline is going to be where they're asking the questions on. So again, if you know those charts, more specifically know where the 50th percentile lies for each sport, it's going to help you a lot. So those are 3 tips to help you pass the CSCS exam. Another tip, sign up for our exam prep class. We go over things like this, as well as a 200+ question study guide we've made, as well as flashcards and notes to help you prioritize your studying and pass the exam as quickly and efficiently as possible. Have a good rest of your day.